Good morning. Welcome, everybody. Here we are back again for our pre-market prep session live stream. This session is where we go live each and every day here on YouTube before the market opens to go over important news, notes, analysis, trade ideas, information that are really key to getting 1% better each and every day, right? And if you get 1% better daily, then you solve a lot of the other problems, right? Problems that you're experiencing in life, whether that is consistent profitability when it comes to markets, or you making the right decision of when to buy a house, or when to, move, or when to put your kids in a different school, right? All of that. All these decisions that we make day in and day out as adults are based on context, right? And you want to have as much context as you can have, as well as have the best mindset in place in order to process that context and that information to make the best decisions. So that's really what this session is about each and every day. Is number one, making sure you're getting the correct information, right? In this world that is currently so divided and divisive, it's tough to get agnostic information. You want to try and get information that is completely agnostic, meaning free from one bias or the other. And then you also need to know how to process that info, because we all get the same information, right? We all have access to the same market. We all see the same stocks, but we do not process that information the same way, right? There's a reason why when semiconductors are struggling and tech stocks are struggling and the broader market sold off, there's a reason why we knew of that sell-off before it happened, right? There's a reason why we rotate our money into small caps when the big caps cooled off, and now IWM, right, which represents small caps, is absolutely rocketed over the course of the past week and a half. And, it's doubled our accounts over and over and over again. All of that comes down to mindset, the way that you perceive the opportunities that are here each and every day. So this session is about continuing to hone that mindset, right? Giving you the right info, but also having the right mindset to break that info down and leverage it in a way that serves your good. Now, what we're trying to get 1% better, make sure you drop those ones in the chat, whether you're watching live or via recording. And we're going to get to it, right? Our top news here today, a better Brexit. Nearly 50 European leaders on Thursday will descend on Blenheim Palace in Oxfordshire, England, for a one-day session of the European political community. It'll be a big moment for new UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who is looking to amend the post-Brexit relationship with the European Union. Defense and security discussions are on the menu, but trade is also in focus, especially as the parties attempt to build closer cooperation on shared issues. Quote, our government is committed to resetting the relationship with the European Union to strengthen ties, reinforce our security, and tackle barriers to trade, said Nick Thomas Simons, Minister for the Constitution and European Union Relations. Quote, the EU and member states are among the UK's closest friends and allies with war in Europe, allies, period, with war in Europe and shared global challenges in areas such as climate change and illegal migration. A strong UK-EU alliance is vital. Now, Labour under Starmer has ruled out rejoining the EU single market or customs union, though it will seek to improve the bilateral relationship via renegotiations. Post-economic Brexit complaints have been seen across many sectors, ranging from agriculture and the creative industry to manufacturing and just-in-time supply chains. Now, there's also been lots of additional paperwork and applications, the need to manage multiple sets of quality standards and VAT payments, as well as a divergence in regulatory frameworks that has impacted investment. Now, different channels, the European Union has been more cautious about potential changes, maintaining that it will work within, quote, existing agreements that are the cornerstone of EU-Britain relations. As expressed previously, the bloc doesn't want the UK to have all the upsides of being part of the EU without the membership that comes with it. Yeah, can't have your cake and eat it too. That will make cherry picking terms a lot harder, and with large scale renegotiations off the table, British policymakers will need to pull off a delicate balancing act to keep within Brexit agreements and promises. Yeah, it's kind of just like they wanted to be free of the EU because it just became this, rallying cry. We need to free ourselves from the EU. The EU is the reason why we have all of our problems. The EU this, the EU that, and then they free themselves of the EU, and now the UK is kind of running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Especially during a time of kind of economic tumultuousness and geopolitical turmoil in terms of the relations. And you've got, kind of things that are heating up, of course, actually not even heating up, they're just red hot, right? They've been red hot for 2 years now, with Russia and Ukraine, and now the UK has kind of hung itself out to dry, and it's trying to enjoy the benefits of being part of the EU, but not be part of the EU. So it's like, at this point, why the heck did you leave the EU in the first place? And it was funny because right when Brexit happened, the most Googled thing in the UK was, what is Brexit? What happens after Brexit? Right? They didn't even know what they wanted. And I feel like that is the really difficult thing that we face as people nowadays. And we have technology and other people that know us so well, is that someone oftentimes is just so often trying to manipulate you, especially when it comes to news and things like that. Like, you get so up in arms about things, and then you're like, wait, what does this actually all relate to? Right? Like, what am I angry about? What is happening? Just stop for a second and say, what is happening? Right? What is going on? What is this taking my focus away from? Right? And just process information and try as much as you can to be your own person, and to try and not get information from very, very biased sources. That's the best thing you could do for yourself. If you listen to CNN, also listen to Fox. If you listen to Fox, also listen to CNN, right? If you listen to neither, then just seek out agnostic forms of information. But I listened to both when I did listen to news, more often than I do now. I still keep up with it, but I'm much more focused on just completely agnostic news sources. But it is very interesting to keep tabs on both, and you have to keep tabs on both, because neither side is saying really the full truth, right? Ever. It's always posed in some way or some direction. So in a world where we're so used to reading headlines, I encourage you to read the article, find the source article, right? Find the references from the source article, and just dig up these answers for yourself, because now you've got the UK, where Brexit has happened, and they believe all of their problems would be over, and what happens? Boris Johnson isn't who they thought he was, and Brexit wasn't everything it was cracked up to be, and now there's all this stress on their power grid, and all these issues, and it's like, do the investigation before you make the decision. Don't just make it based off of emotional fervor, right? Emotion has no place in a lot of decisions that we make as adults, like, has absolutely no place, and yet we use so much of it when we make decisions. You need to be doing analysis, right? Just trying to do quantitative analysis as much as possible with a lot of things, right? In order to just make sure that when you make that decision, it has legs. You have a plan. What everything, what is entailed on the back of you making that decision, right? Which is very important. What alerts do we have going off? I hate when I go and I try to open my phone to see an alert, and it makes me swipe up instead of just unlocking to my face. Let's see. Okay. All right, we got, things on the move. We got Starbucks still hanging around, breakout. We got these energy tickers that, we entered yesterday that have been on the move and started to pay us. Those look like the alerts that I got overnight. Media news, possible split. Warner Bros. Discovery, ticker WBD, is reportedly evaluating several strategic options, including selling assets or splitting its Max streaming service and movie studio businesses from its legacy TV networks. The move would leave its TV group with most of its $39 billion debt load. People close to WBD have also informally approached rival media groups to gauge interest in potential M&A options for some of its assets. Bank of America warned that a breakup could have a, quote, devastating impact on bondholders, similar to what happened after rival Lionsgate's spinoff of its studio business. And Lion is their ticker from Stars, after their spinoff from Stars. Now, manufacturing news, goodbye DEI. John Deere, ticker DE, is the latest company to review diversity policies and has decided to end its participation and support for social awareness events. The farm machinery maker reaffirmed the diversity quotas and pronoun identification are not company policy. The decision came after political commentator Robbie Starbuck argued that DEI policies were hurting Deere's business as the company implements job cuts and weaker demand for farming equipment. Last month, Tractor Supply Co., ticker TSCO, eliminated DEI goals and carbon emission targets that it said were unpopular with its customers. You're getting to a point where everybody's strapping down, right? All these different companies, it's expensive for them to run. They're cutting people, they're cutting policies, they're cutting, anything that is not immediately contributing to the bottom line, and that is DEI, right? And I just posted on Facebook about, the whole everyone in DEI and Microsoft getting laid off, right? And it's just a prevailing trend, right? Am I here to speak to whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing? I know there's a lot of hate on it. People should say, people say, hey, it should be completely merit based, and who you are and your background should have nothing to do with it. But then there's also the important side in which, when things are created and constructed without everyone in mind, you get often a large swath of people that are hurt by what is created. And that is the issue with lack of diversity in areas. Take Uber, for example. Uber had a very bad issue with female customers getting assaulted by drivers. Why was that the case? Because everybody sitting there on Uber's board was a white male, right? They're not really having to deal with being assaulted day in and day out, whereas the average woman is dealing with that pretty often, right? So they never thought, oh, what if some guy is just a creep and doesn't take the woman to her house, and it's the middle of the night and he takes her somewhere else, right? Or he tries to restrain her or something like that. Like, what? No one brought up that, right, as an issue. Same thing with, I brought up this example of a company that develops lasers for motion sensor, right? Like the sinks that you have in malls and stuff like that. You put your hands in, it starts, the water starts. Some of those sinks do not work for darker skinned people. Why? Because everybody in that boardroom, right, who was developing the product and all that, did not have a large variance in complexion. So those lasers sometimes struggle to pick up darker complexion. So if you've gone somewhere and you've tried to wash your hands and it's not noticing you, right? Sometimes it's not because that thing is messed up. It's because it was developed in a way that did not have everyone in mind, right? And as we do start to develop more and more things, the need for diversity and inclusion is important as those technologies, are developed, because again, you don't want to have, especially as AI is developing, right? AI that values one race over another, or AI that is trained more on one race and therefore, values one race or another. And that's just where things get dangerous. But again, I'm not here to argue one over the other. I get the people who say that race shouldn't be involved in you getting a job, and I get the people, the unyielding fact that if things are developed without everyone in mind, they can be dangerous, right? Because yeah, this sink might not register me as I'm trying to wash my hands, but think about if there is a humanoid police bot, right? Like if you think back to iRobot, that looks, and there's, people trapped on a bus, and this thing looks and it sees, there's 5 white people trapped on the bus, and 4 people that aren't white, and it saves all of the white people first and then saves everyone else afterward, right? These are the types of biases that get built into the technology that become woven into the fabric of everyday society. And that's why it's important, for all of these ideas to be factored in. So at least if you want to eliminate, all DEI related requirements, right? And I get it, you got to cut what ain't contributing to the bottom line when everybody is cash strapped right now. All these companies are, a lot of them are struggling. So I get that you have to cut things that aren't immediately bringing you a return on investment. But just make sure that if you're doing this, at least factor everyone in mind as you're creating things, right? That is my message being sent out. Trending news: stepping down. President Biden is losing the support of senior Democrats amid concerns over his ability to win the presidential election. He also just tested positive for COVID-19, which will sideline campaigning efforts, while the DNC kicked a virtual roll call on the nomination to August. Nearly 2/3 of Democrats want Biden to withdraw, and Stifel last week assigned a 40% chance of him dropping out. This is crazy. We have never seen something like this before. Betting markets are now favoring Kamala Harris to be the Democratic nominee after Biden said he was willing to transfer power to her if health issues prevent him from serving a second term. Yeah, I mean, I hate to be that guy. I doubt that he has COVID, right? He might. Everything is still going around now, but I think that this is the beginning of them setting the stage for him to step down, right? I think it's like an easy out, and this is kind of where things are going. So I do think it's the right move. I don't think, like, I think they, especially after the assassination attempt, assassination attempt, whatever you believe, right? I feel like especially after that, there needs to be some type of re-energizing, right? If the Democrats want to have any chance. And that's not me fighting for the Democrats. It's not me fighting for the Republicans. It's just me looking at this from a strategic, objective standpoint. Something's got to change, right? Because right now, all the major, sexy, energizing headlines are going to the Republicans. So if the Democrats want to make something happen, I doubt it's going to happen with this guy, right? And it's no shot against him. You know, I'm sure, I don't know Biden personally. I don't know Trump personally. They might be completely different than what their media personas portray them to be. But, you know, it's just at this point, it's a game of probabilities. And Biden is just not seeming like he's going to get it done. But crazy. I've never once in my lifetime seen this happen where, you know, it's kind of like people are just like his constituents are withdrawing support. But like I said, 2024, we live in a time full of unprecedented events. In terms of today's markets in Asia, Japan down 2.4%, Hong Kong up 0.2%, China up 0.5%, India up 0.8%. The FTSE in London up 0.6%, Paris up 0.6%, Frankfurt up 0.2%, the Dow down 0.1%, S&P up 0.1%, NASDAQ up 0.3%, crude down 0.2%, gold up 0.4%, Bitcoin down 0.8%. In terms of info and stuff we got today, we did get initial jobless claims at 8:30 a.m., but that, you know, hasn't really been anything that's been important or caused movement for us. We've got some members of the Fed speaking today. Logan at 1:45, and then a few after the bell, but no one who moves the needle. And then what else is happening? We got our rapid fire stock news rundown here. Netflix earnings preview, ad tier growth in focus. They want to see more and more people getting, you know, working on that ad tier, right? And coming to Netflix on that ad tier and then making more revenue because of it. And if we see good news from Netflix, then that could mean good news as well for Disney and everything else down the pipeline, because all these companies now, these streaming companies, are just following Netflix down the same path. Netflix has been a trailblazer in the streaming industry, and it will continue to be. But if all this bodes well for them, then it will also bode well for Disney and the rest, in terms of cracking down on password sharing and then integrating an ad tier. Now, more earnings. UAL, United Airlines, forecast disappoints. Global chip sell-off slams NASDAQ, notches worst day since 2022. We called it, right? 2 days ago. Rising wedge on SPY. Everybody's focused on chips and semiconductors and this, that, and the third. There are so many different places to put your money in markets in order for it to multiply itself and bring home some more of its friends, right? So make sure you're in an environment, in a community that has a lot of different tricks up their sleeve, right? We're not limited to just, oh, is NVIDIA moving? I guess we're not making money today, right? Is the market green, right? If it's not, we're not making money today. That's not the case at all, right? Not the case at all. Restaurant M&A, Darden, ticker DRI, to buy I don't know how to pronounce this. Choose or Chi's, CHUY''S. If anybody knows of that chain, let me know. To buy Choose for $605 million. Their ticker is CHUY. Capital One, ticker COF, offers $265 billion in community benefits in Discover deal. Beyond Meat in talks with bondholders over restructuring. GE Vernova sinks as Vineyard Wind operations suspended. And then Biden to forgive $1.2 billion in student loans for 35,000 borrowers. J&J, ticker JN as in Nancy J, beat estimates as pharma segment outperforms. Good news for, long-term investments / swings in those pharma, in that pharma sector, specifically Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. And then Petco, ticker Wolf, appoints Five Below's Joel Anderson as CEO. I'll probably have to take a trip to Petco today, as I will be bringing home our beautiful baby Stevie this evening. So, in that vein, right, again, if you have any questions for Q&A, make sure you get those in. The deadline was last night, but, go ahead and get them in now if you have any last-second questions. I'm going to go ahead and record the Q&A that will be sent out for everyone. And speaking of Petco, I'll probably be heading to Petco, today to pick up some last little things. She's got wonderful grandparents that have gotten her tons of stuff already. But I think I might go get a few more things, here just in preparation. So TBD, I'm leaning toward there probably won't be a pre-market prep session tomorrow, just because that'll be the first night afterward. And if you guys have had puppies, this will probably involve me getting up multiple times throughout the night. So I'm going to say now that I probably, okay, Chewies. Thank you, Sharon. And I love how it's so great. It's get yourself a Sharon in your life, right? It's so great to have, people that can think like you, and then also because I wanted someone to do that and I didn't like know how to say it, but someone to basically phonetically spell that out for me. And of course Sharon was already on it, so I appreciate that. Chewies. Yeah, I did not know what the heck where they were going with that name. But yeah, tomorrow morning I'd probably say this is the last live stream of the week, because if I have to get up every 2 hours over the course of the night to take this puppy out, not gonna lie, I love you guys, but I probably will not be here tomorrow morning. So we'll count on this one as the last live stream of the week. Let's finish strong. It's been an amazing past few weeks. Continue to pay ourselves, get 1% better, and close the gap between where we are and where we want to be. Everybody have a great rest of your day. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning no, I won't. I'll see you on Monday. For our next Premarket Prep live stream. Have a good one.